All right, let's talk construction in Florida. If you're planning to build or even just thinking about it for 2026, you've come to the right place. We're going to break down everything you need to know, the forecasts, the costs, and the rules, so you can go in smart. Let's jump right in. So, you're thinking about a project in the Sunshine State, right? Maybe a brand new house, a kitchen remodel, or finally getting that patio built. But what's it really going to be like to get it done in 2026? Well, we've dug through what the economists, the industry pros, and the state regulators are all saying to give you the inside scoop. First things first, before we dive deep into Florida, we've got to zoom out a bit. You see, the construction world doesn't operate in a little bubble. What happens on the national stage with costs, labor, and policy creates the waves that every single state, including Florida, has to ride. So, right now, contractors all over the country are up against three big things. First, the price of materials, wood, steel, all of it, is still way up there. Second, finding enough skilled workers is a real struggle, and that drives up labor costs. And third, all this uncertainty around trade and interest rates makes it really tough for companies to plan for the future. And this quote right here from Tanya Hahn at Nationwide, it really nails the mood of the whole industry. It's not just about building stuff anymore. The real game is about building smart, about managing all these risks so you can stay standing. It's all about resilience. Okay, so let's bring it back to Florida. How is the state's powerhouse economy holding up against all those national trends? Well, Florida's got its own thing going on, so let's check out the forecast. For the last few years, Florida's economy has just been on fire, growing way faster than the rest of the country. But looking ahead to 2026, the million-dollar question is, can that rocket ship keep flying, or are we about to see a change of pace? And the verdict is in. Things are going to moderate a bit. According to economists at Comerica Bank, after that incredible supercharged run, Florida's growth is expected to cool off and look a little more like the national average. So it's not a crash by any means, but it is a shift from fifth gear down to fourth.
And what we're seeing here is this really interesting tug of war. On one hand, hiring is gonna slow down. A big reason for that is the crazy cost of housing and insurance is making it harder for people to move here. But, and this is the interesting part, on the other hand, home construction is actually predicted to bounce back.
Just look at these numbers for a second. We're talking 120,000 new single-family homes and another 50,000 multifamily units. That is a ton of building. It just goes to show you, even with the economy cooling, the demand for housing in Florida is still incredibly high. The state is still very much in catch-up mode. Okay, so we know a lot of building is happening, but let's talk about the thing that hits everyone's wallet, the cost. Why on earth has it gotten so expensive just to build or remodel anything these days? Let's dive in. You know that feeling, right? You get a quote for a project and your jaw just hits the floor. You're left thinking, wait, how did we get to that number? Well, it turns out the data gives us some pretty clear answers. Just look at this. This shows the price jumps in our region over just 1 year. Wood is up more than 8%. Drywall and insulation over 6%. Steel, concrete, you can see the trend. These are the absolute basics of any project, and they're all seeing major price hikes. So, where is this all coming from? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is something you could call a hidden tariff tax. A good chunk of our building materials are imported, and they're getting hit with these massive tariffs. We're talking a 35% tax on key lumber from Canada, 25% on things like gypsum from Mexico, and a whopping 50% on essential metals. That cost gets passed directly into your project. And if you want to know what that all adds up to, here it is, $10,000. That's the average amount that builders say these rising costs have added to a single new home. That's a huge number, and it directly impacts what people can afford. Okay, so we've got the economy, we've got the costs. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual rules for getting stuff done in Florida. This is all about navigating the licenses and permits you'll need. So, let's start with the basics. What even is a contractor in the eyes of the state? Well, it's pretty much anyone who gets paid to do, well, anything to a building. Repairing, remodeling, demolishing, you name it. It's a really broad definition, which is why the state takes licensing so seriously. Okay, pay attention to this one because it is super important for any homeowner in Florida. You've got two main types of contractors. A registered one is licensed to work only in a specific local area, like a city or county. But a certified contractor has passed the big state exam and can work anywhere in Florida. Huge difference. And let me tell you, getting that state certification is a serious process. It's not just filling out a form. We're talking 4 years of hands-on experience. You have to pass a tough exam, prove you're financially stable, and carry all the right insurance. It's a high bar, and it's all designed to protect you. And then there are permits. The rule of thumb in Florida, you probably need one. Seriously, a new roof, a fence, most plumbing or electrical work, even a decent-sized shed. Pretty much everything requires a permit. So the best advice is always check with your local building department first. Don't just assume. All right, we've gone through a lot. The economy, the high costs, all the rules. So let's pull it all together into your personal game plan, your playbook for making sure your project is protected. Okay, this next part is a real eye-opener. I mean, seriously, most warranties, you're not going to believe this, especially for things like special garage floor coatings, will specifically exclude damage from moisture and hot tires. Now, think about Florida for a second. The humidity, the heat, it's just a perfect example of why you have to dig into the fine print. So with all that in mind, here are the 3 questions you absolutely have to ask any contractor you're thinking of hiring. First, are you registered or certified? You know the difference now. Second, what exactly does your warranty not cover? Go look for those exclusions. And third, who is pulling the permits? Hint, the right answer is always the contractor. So here's the bottom line as we look at 2026. In a market like Florida's, with its high costs and tricky rules, having the right knowledge isn't just a nice to have, it's your single most important tool. Make sure your plan is built on that solid foundation. Thanks so much for tuning in.